What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Comments here for you right into the video. We've all been here before, right? The player goes to slide, can't branch the animation, the defender stands there. I have found a way to go next level with this. This is Lamar Jackson putting his arm with the ball through a Jacksonville Jaguar. This is nearly replicatable by anyone that wants to do it, because I found the animation celebration in this game creates what I would perceive as a game-breaking flaw. I'm going to show you another still image here where Lamar Jackson has no contact to the ground. The defensive back has his back turned, and he has both his arms out in the victory formation. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what got me here, and then I'm going to go through a series of plays how you can actually do this with skill included, by the way. But I want to show you, first and foremost, as transparent as I can, you can fumble the ball doing this if you're not smart. Now, I want to talk to you about what got me here. What did I see in terms of gameplay? I want you to watch all the defenders here. Some of them will not cross the line of scrimmage, but watch how they react. Watch how they're running, because they can't pursue properly to this. Now, how does this work going upfield? Here you can see I'm running upfield, and I can control what other defenders do as I taunt. Watch number 21. He cannot actually branch here. So what's happening is he stands, he squats, he turns, because he cannot react. Number 48 here, same exact situation. Cannot react to my taunting. When you take a look at how bad it can get, I'm actually running in between Snead's block. I'm taunting while I do it, and the corner cannot find an animation in the game to branch into, so he literally has to turn the opposite direction while squatting and then pursue upfield. You can, as a skill, control blocking with this. Watch Andrews come back across. I freeze 48. He actually gets blocked, and then I taunt up the field an additional 15 yards. Now, the other side of this is if you can trigger on and off the taunt, you can control animations as well. So here I taunt open field, I stop taunting, I freeze number 48, then go back into a taunt again to run away from him. Now I want to talk a little bit about how this actually functions and go back to that first play, because to me, what you have to understand is a couple things. Number one, you can assess the game is certainly broken from watching this, but it's not a practical application of how broken the game is. No one is going to be running backwards 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. But if you can look at what happens here and understand, the game is essentially trying to put puzzle pieces together. So it has all these animations in its library, and it's trying to tie these defenders to an animation to tackle my quarterback. Now you can see that by taunting them like this, it limits a lot of things they can do. So they're running way off in the direction. They're not getting transition or blended animations to me, and perhaps slow down. It's no more clear here. As I start to high step up the field, I want you to watch how the linebackers actually run away from me, as if they're afraid, right? So I'm running right toward them, but because they don't have an animation here, the game is pushing them back while it searches for one. Now, I do also want to bring up a point here that I don't fumble at the end of this. So it's not always going to be a fumble. If you wanted to do this as a skill base with a fast quarterback or player, you just have to have the mindset of I have to get out of bounds, because if I do, then I'll be protected even if I fumble out of bounds. So this to me showcases where EA is with this game. When we've approached them for years about the quarterback slide animation not being able to blend properly, the thought process should have been to fix their game. Instead, with EA, the thought process is adding more things on. And to me, this is the quintessential look of you cannot build a better game until you fix what is already broken. So all they did is take the broken element of players not being able to interact with a quarterback slide, that literally, whether you love or hate this game, every one of us has experienced, every one of us has asked for improvements, and every one of us knows gets exploited both on and offline by players who know they can reduce their impact, reduce their fumble percentage, and control how the defense reacts to the quarterback by simply sliding. They don't actually fix that problem, and instead they elect to implement an entirely new game mechanic that allows you to celebrate with user-controlled celebrations. No one goes in to think, if they already have one issue with animations that breaks the game from a defensive standpoint, is it possible that putting a quarterback into an animation that is not branchable could ruin it from a gameplay standpoint where now the quarterback is moving? This essentially would be, I guess, in layman's terms, having the quarterback just slide all over the field because you're controlling how much the defense can interact with him. Now, as I said, how much success someone is going to have is going to be dependent on how much time they practice, how risky the defense wants to get with hit sticks. But in all fairness, as I said, if you can rely on getting out of bounds, you can probably find a great amount of success with fast quarterbacks by doing this. Because you have, in a way, the best of both worlds. You're limiting what the defense can do, and then you're using your speed to put yourself in a better position to not be tackled to start with. And this is why so many people, myself included, say this is not a game of skill, this is a game of dice rolls. So if you can control the dice roll percentages into your favor, then you are going to be more successful. If you want to think about that from an X factor standpoint, essentially what you're saying is, I'm going to limit how the defense can tackle me because I'm going to celebrate in the open field. This actually defies all conventional common sense in terms of football, but I think that also brings us back to the continued point that Madden and football do not go hand in hand. Now, to me, I would think the resolution to this, which I do want to see EA fix, would be that you may have your speed completely wiped out while you're celebrating, because that would prevent you from controlling as much. It also does not affect stamina, because you can just see I ran backwards for nearly 60 yards left and right. They're not going to slow that animation to put stamina into celebrations, which is expected. So take that celebration and cap that animation time limit to 3 seconds or 2 seconds. And then don't allow the player to accelerate in and out of it. So if you do it, your player kind of stutters in his footwork. That way you're not able to just trigger celebrations back and forth with that type of manipulation of the defense. Or simply have it to where you can, and listen, as somebody that is the biggest proponent of user control, understand what I'm saying. Limit where you could do it on the field so it could only be done within, let's say, the 5-yard line. Because in reality, why would you have a player taunting at the 30, the 40, the 50? So if you put it into a window where you only have it from, say, maybe the 5-yard line to the goal line, you eliminate all these things as well. That would be the two things I would like to see them do. Immediately. Patch this right away. Because as soon as people start to learn the techniques with this, you're literally going to ruin your game, and you're going to have some of the worst highlights ever as people just taunt against defenses and find ways to not be tackled. We've seen what this game does when it's operating regularly. So if you have it operating on a heightened sense of offense being overpowered, then, Lord knows what we're going to look at. I will also say that these are things that should never, ever, ever make it into the game. This is something that literally during the development cycle, when they're looking at game logic trees, when they're looking at animation trees, someone should say, we don't have enough tackles branching off these celebrations, we have to find some way around this. Because if not, we're going to put the game out into the environment, and sooner or later, someone's going to realize these things don't branch right. And then we're going to be in a world of problems because we're going to have to fix on the fly through a patch the game from doing this. So I would recommend go to your practice modes, try this out, try not to get hit because you will fumble. But aside from that, this is what EA builds. Way more focused on non-football than football, and this is the end result. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking it out. I will be back in the week with more commentary.